and welcome to the Odyssey summary. I'm not sure if this is going to be one video. I might split it up into bits. Like, it's the summer, I'm really busy, but we'll see. So when I was in uni, I took ancient Greek as an elective, and the texts that we had to translate from ancient Greek into English were from the works of Homer. So I've had this book for many, many years with the intention of eventually reading it in English. Quite fortuitous then that Christopher Nolan would announce his movie, The Odyssey, because I finally actually made the time to read it. So in the preface, we learn that the Odyssey consists of two poems, the return of Ulysses or Odysseus and the story of Penelope and the suitors. It'll make sense in a bit. Just so you know, Ulysses and Odysseus are the same name, it's just that Odysseus is the Greek one and Ulysses is what he's called in Latin. So a little background, Odysseus is the king of Ithaca, and these poems in this book describe the events that happened after the sacking of Troy. So Odysseus and his men after that had traveled to other cities, sacked those two, caused quite a bit of a ruckus. But eventually his men died because they ate some cattle that belonged to the sun god Pheaecian, after being warned not to, by the way. So his men never made it home because they died. Odysseus himself also hasn't made it home. He's currently trapped on an island with the goddess island nymph Calypso, who keeps trying to get him to marry her. So this poem is about the state of his household in his absence and his journey back to it. They're called poems, but they really just read like normal stories in a book. And the chapters, for want of a better word, in this book are called books. So on Mount Olympus, Athena is trying to advocate for Odysseus to her father Zeus. Remember, he's stuck on an island and Athena feels bad for him that he can't get home. It is for Odysseus that my heart bleeds. When I think of his sufferings in that lonely secret island, far away, poor man, from all his friends. It is an island covered with forest, in the very middle of the sea, and a goddess lives there. Daughter of the magician Atlas, who looks after the bottom of the ocean, carries the great columns that keep heaven and earth asunder. So she, Athena, asks her father why he's still angry with Odysseus and why does he let this go on? Zeus responds that it's actually Poseidon who's angry with Odysseus because Odysseus blinded the eye of Poseidon's son, Polyphemus, king of Cyclops. That's why Poseidon allows the continued torture of Odysseus. But Zeus does agree that they should help him. Athena says that they should dispatch Hermes to the island to tell Calypso that the gods have decreed that Odysseus should be freed, and that Athena will go to Ithaca to talk to Odysseus' son Telemachus. She grabs her spear, straps on her golden sandals that allow her to fly, and she dons a disguise to go to Ithaca. The situation in Odysseus' household is not good. A horde of suitors have taken it upon themselves to just set up camp there, eating all of the household's food, drinking their drink, and just keeping the servants very busy. Remember, Penelope, Odysseus' wife, is also still at the house. She's in limbo because her husband's not dead. He hasn't returned yet. So Athena goes to visit with Telemachus at the house, and she advises him to clear the house of all the suitors because his father will likely return home. His mother Penelope is also going to have to make a choice. If she wishes to remarry, she should be sent to her father's house, and those preparations should be made by her family. If Odysseus does not return home alive, Telemachus is to make his mother remarry, but if he does get news that his father is alive, Telemachus has 12 months to rid the household of the suitors. Telemachus announces then to the suitors that he's going to hold an assembly in the morning to ask them to formally depart. In book 2, Telemachus gets ready to address the crowd. These men might cause the complete ruin of his estate. They got to go. They're being a nuisance to his mother, trying to get her hand in marriage, but they're too cowardly to go to her father, Icarus, and formally ask for her hand and have him pick the best one of the lot. Instead, they hang around his father's house day and night, drinking copious amounts of wine and sacrificing countless wild stock for their banquets. The suitors actually blame Penelope. It is your mother's fault, not ours, for she is a very artful woman. This 3 years past, and close on 4, she has been driving us out of our minds by encouraging each of us and sending her messages without meaning one word of what she says. Understand then that we will not go back to our lands, neither here nor elsewhere, till she has made her choice and married some one or other of us. Telemachus announces his intention to go on a voyage to Sparta and Plyos to get news of his father, but later when praying to Athena, he says that he can't go. The suitors have made it impossible for him. Athena then, disguised as Mentor, a friend of Odysseus, tells Telemachus that he has to go and make preparations for the voyage and that she will accompany him. Telemachus readies a ship with some men, and the next morning he boards the ship with Athena and they set sail. In book 3, the ship reaches Plyos, and when they get there, Athena advises Telemachus to go to Nestor, king of Plyos, who is an old companion of his father's, who had accompanied him to Troy, and that Telemachus should ask him for information. After they say their prayers and make their sacrifices to Poseidon, Telemachus goes to Nestor. I seek news of my unhappy father Odysseus, who is said to have sacked the town of Troy in company with yourself. We know what fate befell each one of the other heroes who fought in Troy, but as regards to Odysseus, heaven has hidden from us the knowledge even that he is dead at all. Nestor goes on and on about their time in Troy and the fates of everybody else, but he has no answers regarding Odysseus. He does tell Telemachus that he's welcome to see his reports. When Telemachus and Athena make their leave to go back to their ship, Nestor stops them and he insists that Telemachus spend the night and he extends his hospitality. Also, before Telemachus can depart, Nestor gives him a chariot with a fleet of horses to continue his journey, and he also has his son Pisistratus accompany Telemachus for the rest of his journey. In Book 4, Telemachus and Pisistratus reach Sparta and they make their way to King Menelaus' home. Menelaus had also returned from Troy, remember, and he brought back his wife Helen. The servants greet them, wash them, anoint them with oil, and then they get an audience with Menelaus. At this time, there's a celebration happening because Menelaus' daughter is to be wed to the son of Achilles. His son is also going to be married. Helen appears then, and she comments on how one of their guests bear a striking resemblance to Odysseus. Never yet have I seen either man or woman look so like somebody else. Indeed, when I look at him, I hardly know what to think. As this young man is like Telemachus, whom Odysseus left as a baby behind him when you Achaeans went to Troy with battle in your hearts on account of my most shameless self. When Nestor's son, remember he's accompanying Telemachus, he confirms that this is indeed Telemachus, Menelaus gets quite emotional, and there's not a dry eye in the room by the time he's done talking about his friendship with Odysseus, who went through so much hardship. Both he and Helen then tell stories of Odysseus' brave exploits in Troy, that he kept the men all quiet while they were inside the wooden horse laying wait to destroy the Trojans. The next morning, Menelaus asks Telemachus what brings him all this way. Telemachus explains that he means to get answers about the whereabouts of his father and whether he's still alive at all. Menelaus then explains how he is detained by the gods in Egypt. This is important because it's how he gets the information about Odysseus. He sailed about a day from Egypt to another island, and he was stranded there for 20 days with his men, and they likely would have died, but one of the gods took pity on them. But you know how the gods are in this. They're fickle and they never simply help humans. There's always a catch. Menelaus is sent on a kind of side quest to ensnare Proteus, father of Eidothea. So the goddess Eidothea herself also appears to Menelaus, and she asks Menelaus to find her father, and she'll tell him the way home. She even helps him ambush her own father. So the old man, who needed to be ensnared, tells Menelaus that he is to head back to Egypt to offer sacrifice to Zeus before he'll be allowed to continue his journey home. He also tells Menelaus that one of the Achaean leaders is still alive at sea, but not allowed to return. And this is how Menelaus gets his intel about Odysseus' whereabouts. Tell me, therefore, about the third man of whom you spoke. Is he still alive, but at sea and unable to get home? Or is he dead? Tell me, no matter how much it may grieve me. The third man, he answered, is Odysseus, who dwells in Ithaca. I can see him in an island, sorrowing bitterly in the house of the nymph Calypso, who is keeping him prisoner, and he cannot reach his home, for he has no ships or sailors to take him over the sea. After receiving this bit of intel, Telemachus thanks Menelaus for his hospitality, but he tells him that he left his men in Plyos, and they're growing impatient, so he needs to get back to them. But he will leave his horses as a gift. Ithaca's landscape is really not suitable for horses anyway, and in exchange, Menelaus gives him, Telemachus, a mixing bowl made by Hephaestus. So trouble is brewing in Ithaca meanwhile. One of the manservants, Medon, overhears that the suitors mean to murder Telemachus on his way back from his voyage because Telemachus seeks to cause trouble for them. Medon tells Penelope about the suitors' plans, and she prays to Athena to protect her son from the suitors. Athena tells her in her sleep that she will see her son again, and he'll come back to her. The next morning, Penelope is feeling somewhat reassured, but the suitors are still boarding their ships with every intention of ambushing her son. In Book 5, the gods meet in council, and Athena pleads Odysseus' case to them again. She adds that the suitors have also set out to murder Odysseus' son, Telemachus. Zeus then dispatches Hermes to go to tell Calypso that the gods have decreed that Odysseus be set free. He is to be convoyed neither by gods nor men, but after a perilous voyage of 20 days upon a raft, he is to reach fertile Scheria, the land of the Pheacians, who are near of kin to the gods and will honor him as though he were one of ourselves. They will send him in a ship to his own country. So Hermes leaves post-haste for the island cave where Calypso lives. Odysseus is out on the seashore with tears in his eyes, despairing over his seemingly hopeless situation. Hermes tells Calypso what the gods have decreed, and Calypso has a little bit of a whinge about it at first. "You gods," she exclaimed, "ought to be ashamed of yourselves. You're always jealous and hate seeing a goddess take a fancy to a mortal man and live with him in open matrimony. And now you are angry with me too because I have a man here. She tells Hermes how she found poor Odysseus when his crew had drowned and he was blown by the winds to her island. She basically nursed him back to health and kept him there with the intention of eventually making him immortal. Still, she says that she won't defy the gods. She tells Odysseus that he should take some pieces of wood and fashion himself a raft, and she'll give him some food and wine so that he at least won't starve on the journey. It takes Odysseus 4 days to complete the boat, and on the 5th day, he leaves the island. But of course, he doesn't get very far before King Poseidon, on his return from Ethiopia, sees him. He declares that Odysseus is going to have a lot of hardship if he has anything to do about it. Thereon, he gathered his clouds together, grasped his trident, stirred it around in the sea, and roused the rage of every wind that blows till earth, sea, and sky were hidden in cloud, and night sprang forth out of the heavens. While Odysseus is struggling on his raft, mortal turned marine goddess Ino, daughter of Cadmus, takes pity on him. She tells him to leave his clothes and his raft and swim to the Pheacian coast. She covers him with her enchanted veil, which, as long as he wears it, no harm will come to him. Odysseus is skeptical at first. Are the gods trying to trick him again by having him abandon his raft? Well, he is eventually out of options, so he swims to the shore and abandons his raft. Athena also decides to help him by ensuring that the weather is still, and she helps him. After about 3 days, he sees land. Under Athena's guidance, a wave washes over him, pushes him over some rocks, and yeah, he's reached land finally. He decides to head to the woods and he makes himself a place to sleep with leaves, and obviously with Athena's help, he closes his eyes, he sleeps, and he loses all memories of his hardships. In Book 6, we're in the city of the Pheacians. Athena appears in disguise to King Alkinous's daughter Nausicaa and she tells Nausicaa that in order to make her parents proud, she should wake up at the crack of dawn and go and do the washing, the laundry, all of the household's dirty clothes. She should ask her father for a wagon as well. So the next day, she and the girls end up spending the day by the water. And at sunset, once the clothes are dry and they get ready folding everything, that's when Athena realizes that they'll need to get Odysseus's attention somehow. So she has the girls make a noise that wakes Odysseus up, and he goes over to approach them. He asks for the way to their town and for some clothes, which Nausicaa graciously offers. While he takes a bath and anoints himself with oil, Athena also gives Odysseus like something of a physical transformation. She makes him taller, stronger, more good-looking, good head of hair. And there's a comment later from the king that says he looks almost like an immortal, and he's quite impressive to the Phaeacians. Anyway, as Odysseus trails behind the group, they make their way to the city. Of course, he's trailing behind because if they went into town together, people would question, like, who is this handsome man with the king's daughter? Athena is also along for the journey, and she's obviously in disguise because she doesn't want her uncle Poseidon to be angry. Of course, he's still angry with Odysseus, and he's going to try and prevent Odysseus from going home. In Book 7, Odysseus makes it to the home of Queen Arete and King Alcinous, and he's given a warm welcome by the king and queen, who Odysseus is told are both descendants of Poseidon. Odysseus tells the story of being captured by Calypso, and the king announces that he will help Odysseus to return home. And so in Book 8, we see the preparations for Odysseus to board the ship and go home. Let us draw a ship into the sea, one that has never yet made a voyage, and man her with 52 of our smartest young sailors. Then, when you have made fast your oars, each by his own seat, leave the ship and come to my house to prepare for a feast. In Book 9, once Odysseus has readied his ship and he comes back to the household, he tells the story of what happened to him since the sacking of Troy. It's a really long story and it spans many books, so I'm going to probably put Odysseus' story into its own video, and it's going to be the next one anyway. There are 24 books in total, very pleasant and easy reading, so I would recommend. And yeah, see you in the next one.